Today we're talking about the beginning of gender battle. This is part 4 of our discussion of Eve, taken from Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. To the woman, God said, "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." If you recall, in our last lesson, we talked about how God cursed Satan and how Eve's seed would actually bruise the head of Satan, and Satan would bruise the heel of Eve's seed. Now, in today's lesson, we want to zero in on Eve. As you recall, God said, "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception." Now, that phrase where it says, "In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children." You know, people have thought that just refers to the labor pains or even the discomfort that women feel each month. Now, there definitely are labor pains when it comes to bringing forth children. My wife experienced this 4 times with our children, and it was a very emotional time and full of great pain, but I really supported her through all of that difficult time. But I think there's another aspect to this, because the children are born and they grow up. So as the children grow up, are they perfect angels? Well, of course not. Sometimes we know children act like real little demons. Their halo just seems to slip a little bit. But as we train them to live right, we hope that when they grow up and go away, they will follow the Lord. But we don't know that that will always happen. So yes, this pain and sorrow can refer to both birth and the children growing up. Now, in this next phrase, it says, "Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." I'd like to explain this a little bit more. I know as a Christian myself for over 20 years, I always thought that it meant the wife would just naturally desire to please her husband and do whatever he requested. That's what I thought desire meant. But I didn't understand that correctly. I thought the wife would just want to do all the things continually that would please her husband, and the husband would just rule over her. But the more I looked at this phrase and studied the depth of it, I realized I misunderstood that. It says the desire is for her husband. And that last phrase that says he will rule over you. Well, because of my misunderstanding of the wife always just bowing down to whatever the husband requests, I thought the husband would be able to just domineer over the wife, but that's not correct. Really, what it means is the wife wanting the husband's position that God ordained him to be in because of sin. So the husband, if you recall in past lessons, Adam and Eve, when God created them, they were created equal, perfect, and they had great unity together. But then when sin showed up, that unity, that bond of equality was just destroyed. And they struggled with the balance of power. But now when it says, "He shall rule over you," instead of thinking that the woman now has a lower position, the husband has dominion and power over her like that, and how the wife wants to do that, well, we know it's not right for a wife to want to take the place of a husband in leadership, or a husband to just oppress a wife. We know there's many other verses in the Bible where it says, "Husbands, love your wives." But we know what love means. It doesn't mean the husband thinks of himself. No, he thinks of his wife. Just like Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. Christ did not think, well, I'm God and I'm not going to die on a cross. I refuse to do it. No, he loved us all and willingly gave up his life. That kind of love is the kind a husband should show to his wife. So in Genesis chapter 3, when it says, "He shall rule over you," it's talking about the husband shall rule in love. Now, that doesn't mean the wife has no responsibility back to her husband. Yes, the wife still has responsibility because the verse says the wife needs to submit, respect her husband, just as she would respect and submit to the Lord. So if a husband truly loves his wife and the wife respects her husband, we know the result will be a great unity, just like Adam and Eve experienced before sin. So when you accept God's design for the right balance of husband and wife, the husband leads his wife in love and the wife respects her husband, then you have a wonderful, beautiful relationship. You've heard the famous phrase today about marriage, 50-50 is what it takes. I'm sorry, that's not correct. It really takes the husband giving 100% to the wife and the wife respecting her husband 100%. Then you have a 200% marriage. So which is better, 100% or 200% marriage? Well, of course, 200% would be better. That's when we follow God's way. We'll discuss more about this with Eve later on.